Welcome back to our journey into Python programming. In this new section, we are going to know about some of the very important operators that we have in Python. These are something which you are going to use a lot when you start with actual life coding. Let's start with enumerate first. So, a lot of times when dealing with iterators, we also get a need to control a count of iterations. Python eases the programmer's task by providing a built-in function enumerate for the task. Enumerate method adds a counter to an iterable and returns it in a form of enumerate. So it will always, the enumerate function will be returning enumerate. Okay. A list. Okay. So it will be returning back a enumerate object. This enumerate object can then be used directly in for loops or be converted into a list of tuples using list method or in a tuple anyway, any set, anyway, however you want to convert it out. So the takeaway from this is enumerate is used when you need a iterable, you need a counter. So let's say you have a list of values of maybe we have three names, Paul, Shikha and Rohit. So if I put it in enumerate, it will be returning me along with the index value of it. That is 0, it will be Paul, 2, 1, it will be Shikha, and 2, it will be Rohit. Let's look into the syntax of enumerate object. Okay. So this is how an enumerate object looks like. So this is enumerate. We are going to use the keyword enumerate with a small e. So this will be a small e, just a typo. This will be a small e, enumerate. Then there's a iterable. The iterable can be anything. It can be a list, it can be an tuple or a set. And then you have to mention from where should you start. By default, the starts with 0. Okay. You can mention it to 10, so it will be starting out from 10, 11, 12, 13. It will be moving with +1. Okay, after each it will just have a +1. So this is for the counter part and this is an object. Now let's look into a quick example about enumerate. So this X is a tuple which is having some of the fruits, apple, banana and cherry, and then I'm writing out then the enumerate function. So I'm using the enumerate function over here. I'm passing out my iterable, that is X, which is in tuple, and this is the start value. Start value, you can just put it a blank because by default it's going to start with 0, or else you can mention out any other value if you want. So right now let's change it to 10. Okay, if I mention the start value 10, and after that I will just convert the enumerate object to a list. Okay, so over here I've just done type conversion. So the output will be somewhat 10 apple, 11 banana, 12 cherry. So 10 is an counter, and this is again the value which I was having from the iterable, again the counter. So it starts from 10 as we have mentioned over here, 10, and then banana, again 12, and then cherry. So that's all for this round. Let's jump into Jupyter Notebook to get some hands-on view on how all of these are executed over there. Now that we are back into a Jupyter Notebook, let's create a new section for enumerate. Typo, let's convert it enumerate. Now let's create a list. Okay, we cannot use a reserve keyword, so I'm going to use my list, and inside of this I'm going to name out some names of fruit, apple, banana, and let's take one more, cherry. So let's print it out if it's everything is just fine or not. So print is a function. Let me run it out. My list. Okay, so apple, banana, cherry. So it's working just fine. Let's run it out with an enumerate function. As we know that the syntax of enumerate is something like this. We have enumerate, and inside of this we have to write the iterable and then start. Initially start is 0. So let's start with this. So we are going to write enumerate. Now if you want to check what exactly this do, then you can just write, while you are creating a bracket, just press shift plus tab. So it will tell you a quick docstring about what exactly this is all about. Let's look into it. Returns an enumerate object, and this is the general syntax of it. If you ever forget about the syntax or what exactly this function does, you can just press shift plus tab and you will get a general definition about it. So let's write my list over here, my list, and comma, and let's start from 0. By default it's 0 itself, so it is returning back an enumerate object. Let's do a bit of type conversion. So 0 is apple, 1 is banana, 2 is cherry. So this is what an enumerate function does. Let's start the same thing from 10. So it's going to start from 10 apple, 11 banana, 12 cherry. Same thing, you can change out the start at any sound. Now let's try to do the same thing using a for loop. Okay. So let's say I have for char in, I'm going to take a, b, c, d, e, and what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create and count variable. So let's see, you don't want to use enumerate function, you have to create a count variable, count index equals to 0. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to press out and print statement, print, let's use f string at index. Let's take the index as index count. The value is, in brackets, I'm going to write out char. So char will be the value. That's it. We don't need to do any more other stuff. And then we have to increase index count equal to or plus equal to 1. Let's run it out. So you can see that at index 0 I have a, index 1 I have b, index 2 c, index 3 d. Now all of these can be done in a single enumerate function rather than using a very big for loop, create a variable for counter. Let's do it using enumerate. For, let's say, count comma value in enumerate my list. That's it. That's exactly what we have to do. Let's change the value a bit so that I don't have to write out the name. Copy, I'm just going to copy out this code, paste it at index count. Let's see, delete out the name and value. Let's run it out. Oops. Okay, the same thing I'm getting. Let's change my list to ABCD, ABCDE. So you can see that we are getting the same thing, but here we have used the enumerate function. Here it is just used the native for loop. So it's on you, whichever you feel like using, but let me tell you that this one, if you check out the time constraint of this one is the execution speed of this one is much faster than this one. It's always try to use enumerate whenever it's possible. That's it for enumerate. Let's jump into zip function in our next video.